In today's video, we're going to talk about solving and graphing compound inequalities. The first thing you need to know is that there are two types of compound inequalities. There's what we call the and type and the or type. And as we're working out the problems, I will go ahead and let you know each question if it relates to the and type or the or type. So on the first problem, we are looking at graphs on a number line and trying to write the compound inequality for it. So I'm going to start with this side. So if I look at that side, I get to choose my variable, which is x. And then I get to choose the number that the dot lies on, which is -3. It's a closed circle, so it has to have the or equals to. Now we're shading to the left, which means it's smaller. So I have the less than. So now if I switch and go to the other side, for that one, I have my variable x. And then I have the number where the circle's at, which is 2. This one does not have the or equals 2 because it's an open circle. And we're shading to the right. And if we're shading to the right, then that means that x is bigger. So I get to put in greater than. So this is a problem of an or type because it has two halves on the graph. There's two separate parts of the graph. So all you have to do is come down here and put or in between these two parts, and that is your final answer. Now, when you look at B is different because it doesn't have two parts to the graph. It doesn't have an arrow going off to the left and to the right. It's basically just saying that it's shading in between two numbers. So if you see the one where you're shading in between the two numbers, that's considered the and type. And remember, the or type, our first problem, that's when you're shading on the edges. So for this one, I'm going to start with the dot farthest on the left, which is at -4. Leave some space. You're going to have your variable in the middle. Leave some more space. And then the last dot on the right side is at 1. At -4, it's a closed circle, so it has the or equals to. You're shading to the right, which means x is bigger than -4. When I look at 1, this one does not have the or equals to because it's an open circle. And you're shading to the left, so we're saying that x is smaller. And here's your answer. And you should notice with the and problems that your inequalities should both be the same. So they're both less than. Now you can have the or equals to part or not, but you can't have a greater than and a less than in the and problem. So now pause the video and you go look at the try it yourself. When you've had enough time, compare your answer to my answer. And as always, if it's not the same, please ask me when you see me next. So now let's talk about, instead of just graphing, looking from a graph, let's talk about how do you solve the or type. So you're going to notice here that you have an inequality part, and then you see the word or, and then another inequality part. So I'm going to go with the first one. 5x plus 7 is greater than 13. Solve this. So get rid of plus 7 by subtracting. So 5x is greater than 6. Divide both sides by 5. So x is greater than 1.2. So now we're going to go on the other side of or. So we're going to solve -4x plus 3 is greater than 11. Subtract 3 on both sides. So -4x is greater than 8. Divide both sides by -4. And remember, if you divide by a negative, you have to flip your inequality. So it now becomes x is less than negative 2. And then all you have to do is keep that word or in between them. And there's my solving answer. Now I'm going to go on my number line. So here's negative 2. Here's positive 1.2. Neither one of them have an or equals 2, so that means they're both going to be open circles. X is greater than 1.2, so that means you're going to be shading to the right. X is less than negative 2, so that means you're going to be shading to the left. And remember, or problems, you should be shading on the ends. So now take a moment, pause the video, and try the next one by yourself. Okay, now let's go look at our second type. And our second type is the and problem. And for the and problem, you're going to notice it looks like we took two separate inequalities and mushed them together. So your goal for this one is to have just x in the middle. So if I look in the middle, right now I have 7x plus 9. So I want to get rid of the plus 9. So I have to subtract it. The only catch is you have to subtract it on both ends. So you have to subtract it from the negative 12 and also from the 16. So you get negative 21 is less than or equal to 7x, which is less than 7. Now in the middle we have 7x and we want it to just be x. So to get rid of the 7, we have to divide. And once again, you have to remember to divide both ends by 7 as well. So negative 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 1. And this is our final answer because you will notice that the only thing you have in the middle is x. When I graph this, I have negative 3 and positive 1. At negative 3, we have the or equals 2, so make sure you make that a closed circle. At 1, that's going to be an open circle. And since x is in the middle, that means all the numbers in the middle of these two work. So please shade between the two numbers. So remember, and questions, you are shading between the two numbers. Okay, so let's look at B. On B, we have a fraction in the middle. So if I look at the fraction, I'm dividing by 2. So the opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. So remember, multiply everything by 2, both ends and the middle. 15 times 2 is 30. Less than or equal to 3x minus 3, which is less than or equal to 24 times 2 is 48. And did you notice in the middle that the dividing by 2 and the timesing by 2 canceled out, so I did not write that at all? So in the middle, we want to get rid of minus 3, so add it. Make sure you add it to both ends. So you come up with 33 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 51. Sorry, 3x in the middle. Don't be silly like me and accidentally forget a number. So now to get rid of the 3 in the middle, divide everything by 3. So 11 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 17. On my number line, I have 11, I have 17. Both of them have or equals to, so make sure they're both filled in circles. And x is in the middle, so make sure you're shading all the numbers in the middle. Okay, pause the video and you give the next one a whirl. Okay, hopefully you came up with the same answer as me. If not, as always, make sure that you're letting me know. For our last example here, we are talking about a dog and how much food and calories the dog should be having a day. So, background information. It says we can consume between 510 and 540 calories a day. The doggy has to have 1.5 servings of food each day. And we're trying to figure out how many treats can the puppy have. So first off, it gives me a range of the calories. So if it's given me a range between two numbers, that means that this is going to be an and problem. So I'm going to start by putting 510 on one side, leave a whole bunch of space, and put 540 on the other side. Now I have to eat more than 510 or exactly 510. I have to have less than 540 or exactly 540. Now in the middle, let's look at the pictures. Okay. The food is 320 calories. So I have 320 times how many servings can I have? 1.5. Plus the treats. And the treats, we don't know how many treats we're going to give the puppy. All we know is that it's 15 calories per treat. So that has to have the variable with it. Okay, so now let's work out in the middle. 320 times 1.5 is 480. Now we want to get rid of the 480 by subtracting it. And remember to subtract it on both ends as well. So you get 30 is less than or equal to 15x, which is less than or equal to 60. Now we're going to get rid of the 15 by dividing it. Make sure you divide all terms. So you come up with 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. Now, what does that mean? How many treats could we have? Well, the puppy, River. So River can have at least 2 treats, which means 2 or more treats. But she can have no more than 4 treats. Because 4 is the top amount that she can have. So remember, with word problems and they want an answer, please make sure you put it out there in words. So as always, if you have any questions about this information, please make sure you talk to me. Thanks for watching.